Jamie Edenden,
Joel Rasmussen.
I'm getting the strangest sense of deja vu. Does
Been there,
it,
done that, but never got posted, right?
yeah, does it feel like we've been here before?
Yeah, I can't even remember how long ago it was, to be honest, because everything's just like molded together and it just feels like I've been in fight camp for 17 years. So,
Jesus. For the people who don't know, because in reality, the only people who know is what? You, me, and then maybe anyone I've mentioned it to.
yeah,
So we filmed an interview ahead of the first time this fight was going to happen. Uh, and the day it was going to get posted, I got a text message that said, the fight's not happening.
yeah.
So what happened, Jamie?
So basically, long story short, I was headed over to Atlanta to fight Jackie Cataline, and 8 days before we were scheduled to fight, she had a slap fight. I hate calling it slap fighting. I don't know what to call it. She had a slap thing, slap competition, whatever it is.
A slap
Um,
off.
slap off, yeah. And she ended up getting dropped twice in that competition, which led to a 30-day medical suspension. So I literally had arrived in Atlanta and literally just got to my Airbnb and we got the call and they're like, yeah, Jackie's out. She's got 30-day suspension. So they gave us 24 hours to find someone else. And apparently they tried every 145 and 155 that they had on their books and we couldn't get it, yes. So I just stayed there for a week and had a bit of a holiday um, and went to the show and still got to see some really epic fights and meet some cool people and do some media and then the fight got rescheduled for now. So
And now we're here.
now we're here, ready to go again.
So before we talk about being here, if we can go back, as you said, you found out like just as you had landed. So take me through it. How did you find out?
So Jez, my manager, he got the phone call from the head of Invicta, who is Shannon Knapp. And she said, obviously, what I had just told you that the fight was off. We had an opponent ready to go straight away that had already said yes, but it was at 70 kilos, which is 155. And I had obviously said yes straight away. And we went to bed with the fight. And then we woke up the next day and overnight she'd pulled out. So then they gave us from that moment 24 hours. They tried to find someone else and they couldn't. So, yeah.
So in our original interview, I'm going to be referencing this like Mystic Gorn interview. I asked you about the slap fighting because she had done it before. I hadn't realized that she was booked for a slap fight the week before your fight. Did you know
Mm.
she was booked for a slap fight the week before your fight?
Yeah, yeah, I knew about it. We obviously contacted Invicta straight away, being like, what the fuck? Not that word, but I was kind of like, what the fuck? And Jez said it in the what's going on professional way. And and she had told Invicta and ensured them that nothing would happen because she'd fought this girl or slapped this girl before, and nothing had happened. And apparently, the rules of the slapping is if you get dropped once, it's only 7 days. So she was kind of like, well, even if I get dropped once, I'll be okay because it's 8 days out. But she ended up getting slapped twice, so or dropped twice, which resulted in 30 days. So yeah.
What was your reaction when you got the call?
I was pissed. I was like, if I was in Australia, it would have been okay, but I had made the trip, and it's not a quick trip, like it's a long way. I had to take 3 flights to get there. I'm jet lagged. I'm not eating because I can't eat plain food. And I get there and I'm already water loading. I'm already angry from that. And then I get the call. So I was really pissed off, and I was like, your arrogance and ego has come forward and in the fact that you think that you can do both in 1 week. So
Has she reached out to you at all? Was there anything?
nah, nothing at all.
So no apology or anything.
As if she's going to apologize. It's Jackie Cataline. I know you guys don't know her very well, but I've been following her for quite some time. There's no way I'm going to get an apology or anything, and that's all right because we're about to fight in 2 weeks. So
Well, as you said, the Australian fans may be a little bit out of touch and such. You've been following her for a while. Okay, who is Jackie Cataline? What do you make of her?
I think, I think she's tough. I think she's going to be one of the hardest fights I've ever had. I think she's got world-class wrestling, but I don't think she has anything else to offer. So it's going to be an interesting fight to see what her game plan is, which is obviously going to be to wrestle. I'll be very surprised if she wants to stand with me, but she's been around, she's done the wrestling. She was I can't remember quite, NCAA or something like that. Medalist, I think, at some stage in her life, and she's been wrestling since I think she was 6 years old. She's been in PFL, she's been on Bellator, she's fought everywhere. So she's a big name to take.
You talk about you weren't surprised by you weren't surprised by the lack of anything. She didn't apologize, she didn't say anything. Um, has this added fuel to the fire?
Um, yes and no. I kind of already knew bits and bobs of her personality just from following her over the years and seeing her compete at the slap events. So I already knew kind of what she was like. So I didn't expect an apology, and I didn't want one, like I just wanted the fight to be rebooked. Um, so we could, do our thing again. And but this time, like I just can't wait to get my hands on her. I've never wanted to fight someone so bad.
You're it's laughs and it's smiles here at the weigh-ins. You've got this. I would use the phrase like signature grin. Um, but this is things we touched on in the original interview. This fight, I'm going to use the word ruined here to make it sound more intense. Kind of ruined your Christmas because you had to be very strict about diet. You've
Yep.
flown all the way there and this happens. Like, surely you're very angry.
Yeah, I'm pissed off, bro. Like, I don't want to come across as the I'm fucking angry and this and that, but I'm pissed off. Like it's definitely adding adding fuel to the fire and me wanting to just get my hands on her even more and make her pay for it. Like you've wasted my time, you've wasted the promotion's time. So she'll pay for that.
How does that then affect this? Is that extra fuel in training? Is that something that in the fight will change?
My game plan will still stay the same. I obviously you said I missed out on Christmas and New Year's and flying over to the States last time I actually missed out on my niece's first birthday. So I'm missing out on a lot of things and sacrificing a lot of things for this girl. So and to make this fight happen. So the training just ramped up. I had an extra 8 weeks to get ready, which like to be honest, I'm pretty close to being in the best shape of my life and I feel really, really good. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty unstoppable coming into this fight.
You mentioned at the top there, it's felt a little bit like it's, I believe you used the phrase 17 years of camp. How is the body feeling? How is it all holding up?
Yeah, look, obviously being in camp for this long, I got a few niggly injuries coming through, but that's to be expected because I have been in a hard camp for 15 weeks. So, I haven't taken any time off, and I'm also doing my training with big dudes. Like I'm doing my training with the likes of Dave Martinez and Lonnie Filamahala, and those guys are big and strong, and I'm doing majority of my work with them. So you can imagine my body's taken a bit of a beating to prepare for this fight.
I wanted to talk about the training partners. I wanted to talk about specifically about Dave because us in the scene know how good of a grappler Dave is, and we talked about that in the original interview. But between then and now, Dave's gone up a weight class and weight bullied a guy who looked huge for welterweight. So what is it like training with Dave Martinez? Because after what he did, the first honestly, one of the first things I thought after that fight happened was, oh, poor Jamie. Like one of the first thoughts I had. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, Dave, look, in my opinion, Dave is one of the best wrestlers and grapplers we have in the country currently. And I'm aware of that. So as soon as I heard that I was fighting Jackie Cataline, I got onto Dave straight away. Like, he's a part of my gym and I have trained with him before. But he's honestly been my biggest training partner because of the grappling and the wrestling that he can give me. But it's what wrestling Dave is what I imagine would be if I got stuck in a silverback gorilla enclosure in the zoo. And like my limbs are being pulled from like, end to end. And he's just this guy's so strong and he's so good and he just smothers you and you can't do anything about it. So, training with Dave has completely prepared me or over prepared me for Jackie because she's not going to be anywhere near as strong or as big as Dave. So, if I can get through some rounds with him, getting into the cage of Jackie's going to be a little bit easier than that.
When I always like doing the comparing yourself to a previous version of yourself, and it's fun to do that over years or whatever. But just the first when we did that interview that didn't come out, when you look at that person and you look at yourself now, even just this extra time you've had, what are the improvements you've had between now and then?
Well, my fitness is and cardio has just completely gone through the roof. Like I feel like I am always fit for my fights because I work really hard. I spar hard, I drill hard, I do my conditioning hard. I'm running the hills, I'm working with big people, so everything I do is hard. But this time around, I just feel like, particularly in my sparring rounds, I'm getting to a point where I feel like I could go for longer, and I'm one of those people that I put everything into my sparring. I'm not waiting for the second or third round from the sparring. I'm going from the first bell. So I just feel like at the end of my sparring, at the start of my camp, I was just sitting down on the ground going, thank God it's over. But now I'm going, give me someone else, put someone else in. I'm ready to go for 4, 5, 6 rounds. So that's when I know my cardio and is ready and my conditioning is ready for a fight.
If I can ask, you mentioned Spa in there. Is there a little bit, is there a mark on the eye right now?
Yeah. Yeah, on Friday night, I was wrestling one of our guys, Julian. He's kind of a little bit of our secret weapon here at Ignite. He goes under the radar a bit, doesn't really go on social media, and he hasn't had a fight in quite some time, but he's up there with one of our best wrestlers, and I shot in on him and I cleaned up an elbow, just ran into it. So, my fault. So, yeah, that's where the black eyes come from.
But it's all okay.
Yeah, everything's all good. Yeah, yeah, it's all good.
Excellent. And you mentioned, when you landed in Georgia and had to deal with you were dealing with the Invicta brass. Of course, this will be your second fight in Invicta. What does it mean for you to fight in Invicta? I asked you this the first time before you made your Invicta debut, but still, now you're further up the card now, co-main event. How is it to be a part of this organization?
I'll start with talking about Invicta first. They're an incredible company. They again, kind of like Julian, they go under the radar a little bit, and people they underestimate how good Invicta is. They were the first female 145 belt to ever exist, world championship belt. Chris Cyborg's won it, Megan Anderson's won it. Anyone who's anyone in this division has fought for Invicta. So I feel incredibly grateful to be here and to be signed to this company and following the footsteps of Megan Anderson, who, as you know, is an incredible MMA fighter from Australia. So I'm grateful that I get to follow in her footsteps on this promotion. And it is the only place I can be right now for my weight division. The UFC don't have a 145-pound division. Bellator's gone and Invicta's leading the way. So, and I'm right in the mix. I'm the co-main event fighting possibly the number one contender fight for the world title. So that's fucking sick.
You mentioned Megan Anderson. So I'll break it up into two things. One, after your last fight, you got interviewed by Megan. You mentioned it on the mic, but still, how sick was it talking to Megan?
Oh, mate, it's incredible. Like it's to her, she's just Megan Anderson to me, but she's like Megan Anderson. Like I've been watching her for years and years and I look up to her and she's an idol of mine and to be able to stand right next to her and she's interviewing me because I won my fight, like it's crazy. It's such a crazy thing and um yeah.
Did and this last time you were over, did you get a chance to say hello to Megan again?
Yeah, yeah, I saw her at the show. She does all the commentary and the interviews for Invicta. So she come over to me and said that she's bummed about my fight and she's sorry that it had happened. And I just said, don't worry, I'll be back in 8 weeks or 9 weeks, whenever it was, and be putting on an even better performance. So
Damn, you guys are best buds now.
yeah, yeah, we're tight. I can't do this because my fingers are all fucked up from wrestling, but give me a sec. There we go.
Perfect. Talking about Invicta, and we talk about Megan Anderson, a woman who who paved the way for the whole promotion of Invicta paved the way, and then
Mm.
obviously Megan specifically for the Aussies. Uh, I don't mean to like put the entire weight of like feminism on you, like because
Mhm.
you're doing it for you. But I feel like this is just my perspective. Maybe in the gym, you're kind of becoming that. Recently, Erin Carter came back after 3 years out. You were in the corner. You were there with her backstage the whole time. You made the walk with her. Uh, do you feel that's the way? Are you kind of for the women that you're training with? Do you feel you're a bit of the leader?
Yeah, it's funny you say that you're like, Erin Carter's come back. To you guys she's back, but to us she never left. She's been training the whole time. She didn't miss a beat, and she didn't complain once. She was in the gym. If she couldn't train, there was a long time where she couldn't train, but she was still downloading all the information. So, even though she hasn't fought for 3 years, she's still been here. So she wasn't gone. She's always been here. But yeah, I feel like I'm not just leading the way for the women, I'm leading the way for the men because, I'm the first one from Ryan's stable that's born and bred through Ignite that's made it. Sean Gauchi got to the UFC and he got to the contender series, but he wasn't originally from Ignite. He hasn't always been with us. So I'm kind of leading the way for the team. And I'm proud of that. I want there's a lot of guys coming through our stable at the moment that, it will take a couple of years for them to get to this level, but they will be there because some of them actually most of them, if not all of them, are way better than me on paper. I'm a good fighter, but these guys are technically skilled and the things that they pull out, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like they're so, so good. So we're going to be treated to a very high level of MMA in Australia over the next couple of years. And then some high level guys and girls go into the UFC or Invicta or whatever path they decide to go, whatever is around at that time, because you never know what's going to happen in 3 to 4 years. But yeah, I feel like I am definitely paving the way, not just for women in our gym, but for everyone in our gym, because someone being on the world stage or fighting for a world title gets eyes on our gym, not just for women, for men too.
How did you end up at Dunstan's?
A bit of a long story short, but I was training down in a gym at Fifth Wave down in Brisbane, and I was there for about 4 weeks. And I was training with Claire Fryer at the time, and she ended up leaving the gym. And I was 3 weeks out or 4 weeks out from my first ever amateur MMA fight. And we needed somewhere to train. So she just messaged Ryan from knowing him. And she's like, "Do you mind if we come and train at your gym for 4 weeks?" And he obviously said, "Yes, well, absolutely, come on down." And that's where I started my journey. And the very first day I was there, I walked into the gym because at this time we didn't have this big gym that we have now. It was literally this tiny little black room, and I walked in there, and there wasn't many people there at this point. And I walked in, and it was sparring day. And I had no wrestling. I had hardly any experience with MMA. And I walked in there, and Ryan's like, "Yep, it's sparring day, and you're sparring this person and this person, and this person." And guess who the first person was that I had to spar?
Who?
Dave Martinez.
Oh my God, of course it
And
was.
I was like, this is the shittest. Like he absolutely mauled me. And at that time, I lived in Brisbane, so it took me about an hour to drive to Ignite from where I lived. And I literally was in the car with no music, just driving home like it was the worst. And
Rethinking
I just
every
remember that
decision.
moment because now that I know Dave, he's like the nicest person ever to exist. And back then I was just like, oh my God, that guy literally just beat me up and he didn't even break a sweat. Like, so that's my how I started at Ignite.
He barely introduced himself to you. He was just like, hey,
He
fucking
didn't
double
even talk
leg.
to me. He didn't even talk to me. He was just like pacing backwards and forwards and smiling at me. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? And then he just like takes me down. And I had no wrestling back then. And I just had no idea what I was doing. And little did I know, he was one of the best lightweights in the country.
Reconsidering every life choice on the drive home.
Pretty much, I was
Why
like,
am
I'm
I
not sure
here?
I want to go to MMA again. But now look at me. Look at me now.
Yeah, exactly. Um, we were talking before we started about you originally from New South Wales, now
Mhm.
in Queensland. During State of Origin, do you go for the Blues or the Maroons?
I go for the Blues.
How does that get over with everyone?
It's great when they're
I
winning.
was just about to say they won the last one, so
We've actually got a few people in the gym that go for the Blues, so I'm not alone in that battle. But yeah, it's definitely not good when they lose.
are you a big fan of non-combat sports?
Honestly, Joel, I'm not really a fan of sports in general. Like, I
Fair.
like watching the UFC, but I don't watch all the UFC, and I'm not like I do like watching like the Olympics and stuff like that, but I'm not watching the footy every week, and I'm not, I'm not a big fan. I know that sounds really bad because I'm, fighting at the top of my game, but I just find interest in other things.
That's fair. When you do
But
it, when you're at the highest level, I understand being like, I want to switch off from the highest level for a little bit.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, what is the free time then? If it's not sports, how what do you wait, what does Jamie Eden do to switch off?
Well, I mean, I spend a lot of time with my dogs. As you know, I got these two beautiful huskies, but the sad reality is they're getting a bit old now. So, I've only got a couple of years left with them. But honestly, I love hiking. I love being out in nature. My mind runs a million miles a minute, and I'm trying to train. I'm trying to run my gym. Trying to spend time with people and it gets really hard. It gets really busy. So if I can escape, I like swimming, love swimming, going and doing some laps, and I like being out in nature and hiking, spending time with my family.
There are two things you brought up the dogs and the swimming. I wanted to bring up
Mhm.
both of those
Mhm.
things. We'll talk about the
Yeah,
swimming first.
yeah,
Um, that's something, yeah, I've noticed on the Insta, getting in the pool pretty often. Is it
yeah.
like, is that a workout? Is that like you mentioned it as a switch off? Like, what is swimming for you?
Swimming for me, I love swimming, and a lot of people in the gym. I remember Sean Gouchie one time. He saw that I was going and doing laps at the pool, and he's like, I can't. I'd love to see you swim. I reckon it'd be pretty funny because people just assume because I've got a big frame and I'm quite muscly that I'll just sink. But I actually, if I wasn't going to be a fighter, I probably was going to be a swimmer, to be honest. I'm actually really good at swimming. And I love it. So I love being in the pool. It's a time for me to switch off. And all I do when I'm in the pool is count one lap, two lap, three laps. I'm not thinking about anything else apart from swimming. But obviously I use it for cardio as well because, swimming is great cardio. Um, but yeah, I just love being in the pool, and it's something I'm good at. I really like doing things that I'm good at. So I get excited to go to the pool, but I don't get excited to wrestle because I'm not good at wrestling. So like, I'm like, yes, pool time, and then it's like wrestling Dave, and I'm like, ah.
You weren't good at wrestling before this camp.
Well, yes, yeah, yeah. Like, I mean, I did have a little bit of wrestling before because Um, in my first pro fight, I fought Sarah Collins, as you know, and basically spent 10 minutes on my back because I did not know how to get up. I didn't know how to defend takedowns. I thought I did, but I didn't. And from that moment, I have not been taken down in a fight.
Was that
So,
like a promise you made to yourself? Were you like, never again?
yeah, I mean, I fought Gay Sanita, and she tripped me on the fence and got into mount. But apart from that, I haven't been taken down in a fight. And um, that's kind of a thing I've said to myself. It's like, yeah, my wrestling may not be that good, but you can't get me down. So my wrestling, I've really worked hard over the years on my wrestling defense. Abby couldn't get me down, and she tried a lot to get me down. So, I've really built that up. But now the tables are turning, and I'm working on my wrestling techniques and for myself. So yeah, it's interesting to see people going, Jamie has no wrestling. She doesn't do this. She's only a striker. But I choose to strike. I don't choose to wrestle. I choose to strike because it's way funner. I just haven't had to use that part of my game yet.
To not have been taken down since the Sarah Collins fight, who Sarah Collins very high level grappling and judo. Uh, but then to say you say yourself you don't have wrestling, what do you need to do to change that attitude about yourself? Because I would say that's pretty good. Not getting taken down since that fight.
Pretty, yeah.
Pretty good,
And
pretty good defense.
I actually only just realized it the other day. I was watching the UFC, and I can't quite remember who it was. And they said that they hadn't been taken down. It might have been Max Holloway, something like that. And it was the first time they'd been taken down in their entire UFC career. And I was just thinking to myself, I haven't really been taken down since I fought Sarah. And that made me super proud because as a striker, people usually come in with a game plan of trying to take me down. Um, and they can't. So it'd be interesting to see how I go against someone of Jackie's caliber because, she is a wrestler and I'm not under the impression that she's probably not going to be able to get me down because she will, because that's her thing. That's kind of like me going, I'm not going to land a jab, but I'm going to land a jab. Me saying that is the equivalent of me saying she's not going to take me down because she might be able to, but I've worked on my defenses and I'm pretty much ready for everything. So it's gonna be a really entertaining fight for me to not only showcase my striking, but to showcase how good my wrestling's got.
Is there any consideration of maybe going to try to land a slap?
Yeah, well, I have a little bit of a deal going on with one of my friends that if I do slap, I'm gonna get a little bit of money. So, um, I I'm on like I don't know. We'll see how the fight plays out. As you know, I'm a bit of a heavy hitter, and if someone's getting dropped with a slap, can you imagine what it's going to be like if I land my right hand on their chin? So, um, it's yeah, we'll see, we'll see.
Instead of the Stockland slap, the Caloundra slap.
The caloundra slap, the Snickers slap.
Yeah, the Snickers slap. So I wanted to bring that up as well. Why Snickers?
It's funny, because I'm having this conversation with you right now, but today is the day that I post. So I posted this thing on my Facebook, and it's a picture of me, and I'm hitting pads with my old boxing coach, and it came up as a memory today, which is funny we're talking about it. And I captioned it thicker than a Snicker. And I was because I'm doing a body shot and my back looks all jacked and my shoulders looked all jacked. So I captioned it thicker than a Snicker. And then from that moment, my manager Jez, I booked in a boxing fight, and I was fighting for the I can't remember what weight it was. I think welterweight Australian boxing title. And he got me some trunks made, and the trunks he gave them to me, and on the front of it said Snickers. And I was like, damn, that's my fight name. That's so cool. So that's kind of where it bred from. It's funny because I was reading through the comments today, and Pete Hickmont commented on it, and he's like, thicker than a Snicker, dot, 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 really? And I was like, now it's stuck 3 years later.
Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought 3 years later you'd be getting
I
asked, where
know.
did this come from?
Yeah, I know. To the day.
To the day. That's
Yeah.
that's some good
Yeah.
timing.
I've still got them actually in that bag that's hanging on the thing there, right there. That's my first ever boxing trunks. I just kept them.
Is there so where you're coming to me from the gym?
Yeah, I'm in the office at the gym.
You're
Yeah.
in the office at the gym, and there's a collection of there's some gloves, there's some trophies, there's some
Yeah.
medals and such. Where do you keep all the stuff you've accumulated over the years?
A lot of the medals that are up there are mine. Some of them are Ryan's. Some of them are Jake Piper's. I've got my Invicta gloves and my beatdown gloves up there from because they're my two kind of favorite fights. But my belts are up the back in the gym on the wall. I've got my XFC one on the wall, and my two boxing belts are in like a little cabinet thing. So yeah.
Why the beatdown and the Invicta? Why are those two your favorite fights?
The beatdown fight, obviously against Janae Harding, that was kind of the fight that one started off my win streak, and two, everything came together for me in that fight. I was 1-2-1 at that point, and I just couldn't pull it together. Gina G seemed to have my number, and she was beating me, and I just couldn't pull it together, even though I knew how good I was. I just couldn't win. I was like, I just couldn't bring it together in the fights. And in that moment, but beating Janae Harding, it was such an epic moment for me. I just want to keep those gloves to remember that time. And I've kept the Invicta gloves because it's my first fight on the world stage. It's kind of a little sentimental thing for me to look back on. So yeah.
What do you think changed in that beatdown fight? You said you were struggling to put it together. What made you be able to put it together?
Um, I think my consistency, my discipline, my mindset changed. I really knew that I was really good at that point, but I just put the striking and the wrestling and the movement and everything together. So I did a 10-week camp for that fight. Um, and I literally left no stone unturned. I did the wrestling, I did the striking, I did the jujitsu, I did the conditioning, I did the recovery. There was literally not a single thing that I left. And then on the night, I was just completely in the zone. And on the night, I just did what I wanted to do because there was times where I'd be out the back and I just didn't know what to do. I was just kind of doing what everyone else was saying. And on that night, for beatdown, I did what I wanted. I hit pads when I wanted. I warmed up when I wanted. I listened to music that I wanted. My walkout song was epic, and I wasn't trying to be someone that I wasn't. I was just being myself, and that's when it all kind of came together. And then I've just continued it on. So.
Did something cause that mindset change?
Yeah, I think when I had that draw with Gina, which really hurts me because I feel like I was better on the night, but I just couldn't get the win, like I just couldn't put it across the line. And I was sitting out the back and I'm like, I said to Ryan Dunstan, I was like, what now? What am I going to do now? Like, I've got a shit record. I've just fought someone for the second time and I still couldn't even win. I got a draw. What am I going to do now? And he was just him and Jez, my manager. They were just like, just something's going to come up. You just got to trust the process. Keep working, keep working, keep working. Like when they say it's some people seem like they're an overnight success, but they're like, you work, 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 get a little bit better. Work, 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 get a little bit better. And I've just kept working and working and working and working. And now I'm at a place where I feel really content with myself and I'm just getting heaps better. So I just had to keep working. And there was a time there where it was like, do I stop or do I keep going? That was that kind of, do I just retire and go to boxing or do I continue? And then the next day the phone called and they were like, do you want to fight Janae Harding? And I was like, this is the sign, this is the moment. So
I said earlier, I always like asking those questions that are like, when you look at yourself X amount of years ago, and I did it about just this camp. But yeah, when you look at that second fight with Gina G, that's coming up to being 2 years ago. So it's less than 2 years ago, and
Mm,
you're sitting out the back going, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
yeah,
And now you're on the world stage, number one contenders position, meeting Megan Anderson. Like, what do we make
yeah.
of that journey?
Yeah, it's an incredible story for me to tell because yeah, I started my pro career because I had such a successful amateur career. I was finishing people and I was like, no one could even touch me. And then I turned pro and I lost to Sarah Collins and I was like, hell. And then I lost again and then had this draw and I was like, maybe I'm not as good as I thought. And I'm sitting out the back and it really was I had to make a decision then and there whether I continue to work hard and go down this career path or do I just stop and go and do something else that try to make me happy. But I'm so glad I didn't because I'm so glad I chose the path that I'm on now because I have so much fulfillment and happiness and I know that this is my destiny. I know that I'm destined to be a world champion and to be the best featherweight in the world. So I'm glad that I stuck with it and I'm here now.
We were talking about the before I asked you if there's any the beef and the ugliness that can come with stuff. And of course that's there. You're not thrilled. You're not thrilled you flew all the way
Mm.
there. But you talk about how happy you are to be here. And I wanted to ask if it was like the reason around it, if there is one. Something I noticed at every face off. There's face off, turn to the camera, and you always stick your tongue out. And you always have this like specific like cheeky grin. I wanted to know, is there a
Yeah.
specific reason for that?
I don't think so. I think having my tongue out's a bit of a signature move for me. I either have it out like straight out the front or off to the side, and um, I honestly, I'm just happy to be there. I don't have to look into my opponent's soul and tell them that I'm going to beat their ass because I know I'm going to beat their ass. I don't have to do all that shit at the weigh-ins, and also I want to look good on camera. You want to look good, feel good, fight good. So if you have a shitty weigh-in photo where um, you're looking crap. You're just thinking about that all the time. So um, I want to look good for the camera. I want to look good for the promotion, and I want to look good for myself. So that's why I do that little cheeky smile and tongue out pose.
It feels like it feels very you.
Yeah,
Very
yeah, it
like
is. Yeah,
very like cheeky kind of like it feels very you.
yeah, yeah. I'm
Um
not going to stop it.
yeah, well, absolutely not. And something else I noticed looking back at the footage, specifically for the last Invicta fight, before the fight starts, you were like talking to yourself, it seemed. Do you
Yep.
like, what are you saying in those moments?
I do a few things. When I first get into the cage, I'm just praying, thanking God for this opportunity and to look after me in there. But just before I'm about to touch gloves, I'm saying something to myself. And for the last four fights, I've been saying, it's my time. It's my time. It's my time. Just over and over and over to myself. I say it to myself in the mirror. When I'm warming up, I'm saying it to myself because I truly believe it is. I have this conversation quite a lot with Jeremy, my manager, and I'm sick of losing. I've lost enough. I've lost in MMA, I've lost in boxing, I've lost in Muay Thai, I've lost in life. I've lost financially. I've lost friends that I thought I would never lose, and I've lost enough, and I'm not doing it again. So, this is really is my time to shine and my time to prove that I'm going to be the best in the world. And no one's taken that away from me. It doesn't matter if it's Jackie Cataline, it doesn't matter if it's Sarah Collins, it doesn't matter who is next in line. It's just a name because I am destined to be the champion. I'm destined for great things. And Jackie's just another name in the way of me to get to that.
And well, not to look past that, not to look past this upcoming fight, but what is that path for you? Is we talked about it. This is kind of a number one contenders fight. Is this the number one contenders fight?
Look, it has to be. There's been a bit of a loose kind of number one contender fight, but it has to be because in my opinion, Jackie and I are probably good enough to be fighting for the title. This is the unofficial title fight. There is another fight on the card. Riley Martinez, she's fighting. I can't remember who she's fighting. She's fighting a new girl that's coming from another promotion. So I feel like that's kind of a number one contender fight as well. So I feel like whoever wins out of those fights may potentially get the belt. But I feel like once I beat Jackie, I've done enough. I've beaten, I've beaten Janae Harding, I've beaten Gay Sanita, I've beaten Jenna Fabian, I've beaten Abby Montez. Anyone you put in front of me, I'm beating them. And when I beat Jackie Cataline, she's basically the number one girl in Invicta at our weight. So when I beat her, I'm number one and I deserve that title fight. So I hope that they can see that too.
How do uh how do you feel it gets done? What are you feeling? How do we feel a victory over Jackie comes?
I um I know I shock a lot of people because I hit hard. I really do hit really hard and I should have more finishes on my record. So but that's not taking away from the opponents that I've fought either. Like I've never fought a bum. Everyone I've ever fought is really, really good. So it's really hard to put people away that are really good. So I'm really going for a finish and a statement piece in this fight. I don't just want to showcase that I'm one dimensional because in a lot of my fights, I'm really just showcasing my boxing. So I really want to showcase that I'm more than just a striker, or more than just a boxer. So you can expect an exceptional showcase of MMA, not just Jamie Edenden boxing.
When do you head over to the States?
I leave on Saturday, this Saturday.
And is that direct? I've never been.
No, Oklahoma's a fucking it's a long way. It's so we've got to get three flights. So we fly from here to San Francisco, from San Francisco to Denver, then Denver to Oklahoma. So it's a pretty long way. So yeah, it's you really take for granted. Well, Americans and people over there would take for granted that it takes us a whole day to get there, like a whole day to get there to fight you. Then we have to acclimatize to the time difference, acclimatize to the weather, get used to the foods, get used to the water. So, Australians, we're pretty fucking tough because we're putting up with a lot of shit just to get to fight. And something that those guys in America or those kind of close countries will never experience because they will never come here to fight. They will never travel that far to fight. I have to travel now for every single fight that I have now. From now until I finish, I'm going to have to travel. So it's cool. It is awesome to be able to do that, but it's fucking exhausting.
I was gonna ask if that's like, oh yeah, oh shit.
It's cool. It's funny you say that because like because I've been fighting in Australia this will be fighting Jackie will be my 39th fight across three different sports. So I've been doing this a long time, and I didn't have my first overseas fight until last year. So I'd already had 30 fights before I got my first overseas fight. Um, so it was awesome. Like it was really like I get to go overseas and I get to perform and showcase my skills at the highest level. But in the back of my head, it's like, oh, I've got to travel for 30 plus hours just to get there. And then I've got to acclimatize. And it's not just turning up and then you get to fight. You know, there's a big science behind what I do and what all fighters do just to get to a place that's on the other side of the world. So
Last time you went over, obviously, as we've talked about, things didn't work out, but you got to hang out a little bit. How
yeah.
was just hanging out in the States?
It was cool. It's an interesting place, the places that I've been, because I've been in the South, which is kind of like country style places. And, you know, they're in Caloundra, you know, everyone's driving little Kias and little zippy ass MGs. And then you go to somewhere like Kansas City and Atlanta, and every person has a ramp. It's like these massive trucks um, but honestly, the best thing about America is I apologize to all Americans right now because I was actually under the impression that everyone was going to be rude. I don't know why I thought that. I just maybe watching movies or I just had this impression. But especially in the South where I have been, everyone is so lovely. They're so nice. They say hello. They're not, you know, they're not scary. They're just high on life. It's quite nice. Yeah.
So last time you went over, you landed in Georgia. Did you just hang out in Georgia? Did you go around to different places?
No, we just hung out in Atlanta. So there's a lot of cool stuff to do in Atlanta. Atlanta is the birthplace of Coca-Cola, which is pretty cool. So we got to go and explore that and just see the city and Martin Luther King's from there. So there's like really cool you know, statues and things for him around. I really wanted to go out to my favorite show is the Vampire Diaries, and the Vampire Diaries is shot in a place called Covington, which is about 45 minutes from Atlanta. But there's no public transport out there, and unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to hire a car, so that made it really hard. So we just had to stay in the city for most of the time. But it was kind of cool to experience a different culture and a different place, which is nothing like Australia. So
How come you can't hire a car?
because I didn't have a credit card.
Oh, true. Did no
Yeah.
one else have one?
No, no, no one has a credit card. I'm a fighter. I'm poor.
I know, but I would hope, to be fair, Ryan would just lose it if
The
you gave
bank's
him
not going
one.
to give me a credit card. No, Ryan didn't
Yeah.
end up coming
Oh, he
because the
forgot
flight
he
got
cancelled the
cancelled.
flight. Yes, I
Yeah,
forgot he
yeah,
cancelled the flight.
yeah.
Who's heading over with you? Who will be in the
So,
corner?
Jez will be coming with me. We're trying to figure out Ryan's flights at the moment. So he may or may not be coming, but Jez will be leading the charge for this one. So
Has he ever led the dance before in terms of like head corner?
yeah, he cornered me for my one of my Thai fights and one of my boxing fights. What people don't know about Jez is he obviously owns the gym with us, so he's in partnership with Ryan and I, and he's been in martial arts for longer than I've been fighting. Like he knows up here, he knows a lot of shit. So I fully trust him to be there for me, and obviously I need him there for my weight cut. He does all my weight cuts. He works with my dietitian Christoph, and they figure out that part of it, and I just get in the bath and sweat pretty much. So he's got all that down to a T, but he knows a lot of shit. So he's up there, you know, with the knowledge of Ryan or close to it.
What manager extraordinaire
I know he's
head?
just
What
ticks
can't
all
he
the
do?
boxes, that guy.
What can't he do? You mentioned there, I didn't realize I didn't realize you were part owner of Ignite. We talked about the first day you wound up at Ignite. How do you go from that to buying into the business?
I don't even really know how to start. I took a bit of time off, about through how long was it, 2 years ago or something. And I traveled down to Hobart, and I went and trained at Jez's gym down there. Met some really cool people, trained with some awesome people. Rob Wilkinson was one of them, you know, PFL world champion. So I got to
Millionaire.
experience some feeling, yeah, millionaire. He's probably not a millionaire now though, because he's blown it all on bloody sandwiches. Um,
Is that his poison? Is it sandwiches?
I think he
That's
just
his
eats sandwiches
vice?
and burgers and I don't really know.
I would
But
too, lad.
Yeah, why not?
If I
That's
could
the best
eat
way to spend your money.
burgers and look like that, I would also eat burgers and look like that.
But yeah, I was down in Hobart and like my time there was kind of coming to an end and I didn't know where I wanted to go. And I've obviously got my dogs, so moving overseas just isn't an option for me because there's absolutely no way I'm going to leave them. So Jez was kind of like, well, why don't we just message Ryan and see what his plans are? Because I kind of knew that Ryan was looking to expand the gym, but he just hadn't kind of mentioned it or taken the next step. So we messaged Ryan, and one thing led to another, and we invested in the gym and opened this amazing facility. So yeah, it's me, Jez, and Ryan that are co-owners of the gym, and yeah, we make it work. We're three completely different people, but somehow it works.
It is. It's a lot of
Yep.
success coming out of the gym, so I'm sure that's
Yeah.
it is working out. Whatever you're doing, it's working.
Yeah.
You mentioned there, your dogs. I wanted to talk about them. Last interview, the interview lost to time. They came in and they crashed it. They totally became
Yeah.
stars of the show. It was insane. One of them did like a backflip. It was insane. The
Yeah, yeah,
audience
yeah.
should have seen it, but they
Yeah,
can't.
yeah. Oh well, next.
How are the dogs? Are they there?
Yeah, the dogs are here. They're asleep though, so they probably won't come over here.
That's
But
fair. Too much
yeah,
athleticism.
no, yeah, yeah. Well, they're beautiful. They're getting a bit old now though. My oldest one, Zara, she's got arthritis and she's got a bit of a thing on her eye and breaks my heart because she's been with me for so many, important, crucial parts of my life. But Luna, the younger one, she still looks like a puppy. She's nearly 9, and everyone always is surprised that she looks like that because she's 9, but she looks like a puppy. But honestly, they're my whole world. I love them so much, and they're my kids. I don't want to have kids myself, like human kids. I love kids, don't get me wrong. I really do love kids. I actually met Jake Piper's little one yesterday, and she's the cutest, sweetest little thing. But I just don't want to have kids myself. So to having dogs is the closest thing for me. So yeah, they really, really mean a lot to me.
Not cats.
No, bro, no.
All right. Tanked the interview with that question. Uh-oh. My bad.
See ya. No.
Yeah, actually, don't post this. How did you first get your dogs?
Um, I got Zara from my past relationship, and we picked her up from Mount Druitt of all places in Sydney. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's
That's
not a
out
very
west.
yeah, it's not a very good area in Sydney.
Yeah.
And I picked her up
FPA.
from there, uh, and she was cheap, and she was not in a very good state. She was covered in fleas, and she was filthy, and she had a cable tie around her neck. But so I took her straight away. Obviously, I said I'm taking her. And then Luna and Zara, she's been like the most amazing dog. She's never wrecked anything. She doesn't chew anything. She doesn't. She listens. She's not naughty. Like it's actually almost like she's grateful because I got her out of that mess. And Luna, I had to pay for her before she was even born. I got her from a prize breeder, and she's a fucking little asshole. She chews everything. She doesn't listen. She runs away. She wrecked my entire couch when she was younger. Now that she's older, she's perfect. But when she was younger, oh, she was a little bitch. But they're both amazing, and I just can't even imagine not having them. So,
The one who came from what was meant to be the nice environment
yeah.
is the one who's raising hell, of course. It's
Oh, she's
always
so
that.
entitled. She's so entitled. She won't she like when I give her a dinner, she has to have it in a certain place. She won't eat certain things. She's so fussy, but Zara is just like grateful for everything. If I give her a carrot, she eats it. If I give Luna a carrot, she's like pushes like I'm not eating that. Give me some steak or something. I'm not eating that.
Jamie Edenden, I thank you so much for the time. I have one last one for you.
Yes.
We have talked about all different forms of martial arts. MMA, Muay Thai, boxing. We've talked about the ever popular slap fighting. But just something I want to get your general thoughts on. Just your general thoughts. What do you think of bare knuckle fighting?
It's funny you say that. I actually have been contacted numerous times for bare knuckle. Um, I cannot wait to do bare knuckle. I think bare knuckle is my true calling, but I will wait till the end of my career to do that. I don't want to. My hands are already fucked. I don't want to fuck them up anymore. But I absolutely cannot wait to fight someone because, I did start on the streets. Everyone's like, I'm undefeated on the streets. But when I was a kid, I didn't grow up in a great area and I had to fight my way out of a lot of bad situations. So I just want to, it would be nice to kind of go full circle and come back to the bare knuckle and then make money for it. It's kind of like cool to me. But I think I'll wait for the end of my career. Maybe, in my late 30s, I'll switch over to bare knuckle because I don't think Invicta would let me have a bare knuckle fight, even though I really want to do it. I'm totally committed to them and to this sport, but definitely going to do it one day.
Is that anything to do with BKFC's coming to Australia? Have they reached out around that?
Yeah, yeah. They reached out, and they obviously want me on the show. But I said I'm totally committed to Invicta and to MMA at least for the next 2 to 3 years. And then after that, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Like, at the moment, Invicta is it. They've got a 145-pound division, and they're getting me fights. They've promised me fights. So we'll see what happens after my contract ends with Invicta. Who knows? We'll see.
And then anyone can get it.
Anyone and everyone can get
Jamie
it.
Edenden, I thank you so much for the time. The first interview was good, but I would argue that this one's better.
Yeah, this one's cool. This one was cool too. They're all
Excellent.
cool.
It's
It's a
always it
pleasure.
is. It's always awesome to talk to you. Jamie, I thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.